There are mysteries that survive because evidence is missing. And then there are mysteries that survive because the evidence is right in front of us, but refuses to say one clear thing. This is one of those cases. We can see the marks. We can map the stones. We can scan the fragments. We can compare dates, materials, tool traces, and contexts. But every answer opens a second door. The deeper you look, the more careful you have to become, because the easy version of the story is usually the least true. The subject of this episode is the Antikythera Mechanism, ancient Greece's computer. At first glance, it feels like the kind of mystery that should have been solved long ago. It is not hidden in a myth. It is not known only from a rumor. It exists in the archaeological record. Researchers have studied it for decades, sometimes more than a century. Yet the central question remains unresolved. The question is not whether ancient people were capable. They were. The question is not whether this requires aliens, lost superscience, or a secret global civilization. It does not. The real question is sharper. What exactly were people doing here? What did it mean to them? And why did the clearest explanation disappear? To understand the mystery, we need to enter the world that produced it. Ancient societies were not primitive sketches waiting to become modern. They were complete human worlds with their own engineering, rituals, economies, rivalries, fears, and ambitions. In this case, the evidence points toward a society able to organize labor, transmit knowledge, and build meaning into material things. That is important. A mystery is not a blank space where any theory can be placed. It has boundaries. The dates matter, the geography matters, the materials matter. So does what we do not find. Here is what we can say with confidence. Recovered from a Roman-era shipwreck near Antikythera in 1901, X-ray imaging revealed interlocking gears, inscriptions, and astronomical cycles. That alone gives us a foundation. This was not a random accident. It was part of a larger human pattern. Someone planned, made, used, displayed, buried, or preserved this evidence. And because it survived, it became a message sent forward in time, a message with missing grammar. The strongest version of any ancient mystery begins with the least dramatic sentence. What do we actually have? We have material evidence. We have context, though sometimes incomplete. We have comparisons with nearby sites, objects, inscriptions, environmental data, and later historical sources. None of those are perfect, but together they create a cage around speculation. For this episode, the core facts are these. Recovered from a Roman-era shipwreck near Antikythera in 1901, X-ray imaging revealed interlocking gears, inscriptions, and astronomical cycles. It predicted eclipses and tracked lunar motion, calendars, and games. No complete workshop tradition survives, leaving a technology gap of centuries. Researchers still debate its exact reconstruction and missing pieces. Notice what these facts do and do not prove. They prove that the mystery is real. They do not prove the most sensational explanation. They prove ancient skill, coordination, and symbolic thinking. They do not prove a lost modern technology. And they force us to respect the people behind the evidence, because what survives is only a fraction of what they knew. Archaeology is often a science of leftovers. The missing wood, cloth, rope, spoken language, song, ceremony, and memory can matter just as much as stone or metal. That is why the same artifact can look simple in a display case, but complicated in history. The first major explanation is the practical one. Maybe this was a tool, a system, a construction method, a landscape feature, or an administrative technology. Practical explanations are powerful because ancient people constantly solved practical problems: transport, storage, farming, timekeeping, trade, death, water, power, identity. The second explanation is social or ritual. In the ancient world, useful and sacred were not opposites. A road could be a processional route, a vessel could be part of burial practice, a symbol could mark property and invoke protection, a monument could organize people physically and emotionally at the same time. The third explanation is that we are forcing modern categories onto ancient evidence. We ask, is it art, science, religion, writing, architecture, technology? But ancient makers may not have separated those things the way we do. A single object or place could hold several meanings at once. For the Antikythera Mechanism, ancient Greece's computer, the best scholarship tends to avoid one-word certainty. The evidence suggests a range of possibilities, and the responsible answer is a ranked one. Some theories fit the material record better than others, but the case is not closed. This is where many ancient mysteries get distorted. When the evidence is hard, the internet often reaches for the simplest, spectacular answer: ancient aliens, lost electricity everywhere, a global vanished empire, a secret code suppressed by scholars. Those stories are dramatic, but drama is not evidence. To be clear, unsupported theories can be interesting as cultural myths, but they are not the same as archaeology. If a claim cannot explain the dates, materials, tool marks, context, and absence of expected supporting evidence, it does not solve the mystery. It just replaces a difficult question with an easier fantasy. The real story is better. Human beings, working with limited materials and deep knowledge of their world, created things that still challenge us. That is not less impressive than a fantasy. It is more impressive. So why has the mystery lasted? First, the evidence is incomplete. Time destroys. Looting removes context. Early excavations often recorded less than modern archaeology requires. Organic materials vanish. Political conditions and funding shape what can be studied. Second, the surviving evidence may be ambiguous by nature. A repeated mark, a stone chamber, a bronze object, a line across a desert, or a monumental structure can have multiple functions across its lifetime. Third, the people who made it may not have left written explanations, or if they did, we have not found them, cannot read them, or cannot connect them confidently to the object or site. Finally, new technology often sharpens the mystery before solving it. LiDAR reveals hidden landscapes, CT scans reveal internal structures, chemical analysis reveals materials and residues, but more data can create more questions. A good mystery does not shrink immediately under a microscope. Sometimes it becomes more precise. The most cautious interpretation is this: a corroded bronze device from a shipwreck contained complex gears that modeled the heavens. The evidence points toward human organization, repeated practice, and cultural meaning. It does not support magical shortcuts. It does not need them. What remains uncertain is the exact purpose, sequence, or interpretation. That uncertainty is not failure. It is the honest edge of knowledge. If future discoveries change the picture, they will probably not come as one Hollywood revelation. They will come as a new inscription, a better dated layer, a residue analysis, a newly mapped feature, a re-examined museum object, or a comparison nobody had enough data to make before. That is how ancient mysteries usually move, not from darkness to total certainty, but from vague wonder to sharper questions. What makes this mystery powerful is not that ancient people were unknowable. It is that they were fully human, and we only have fragments of their choices. Someone made this. Someone understood it. Someone may have taught another person how to use it, walk it, carve it, bury it, or read it. For them, it may not have been mysterious at all. It may have been obvious, ordinary, sacred, technical, political, or all of those at once. And now we stand on the other side of time, trying to reconstruct a vanished explanation from surviving clues. That is the real thrill of archaeology, not pretending we have every answer, but learning how to ask better questions. So when we look at the Antikythera Mechanism, ancient Greece's computer, The honest conclusion is this: the mystery is not empty. It is crowded with evidence, but the final sentence has not been found. Maybe someday it will be. Until then, the silence itself is part of the story.